Hello. I don't know how to start this. I've been doing so many Asian cinema season videos. I'm like, how do I introduce a video without saying, welcome to Asian Cinema Season 2. So this is a review, a discussion, a spoilers all discussion. I think everyone has seen this film by now, except for you, as of yesterday. What?
There's gonna be loads of people who haven't seen it yet.
I don't think so.
Yes! It's not Star Wars or Harry Potter or something like that. This is a standalone...
All I'm saying is be warned of the spoilers, be wary of the spoilers, because Joker does shoot Robert De Niro straight in the face at the end of this film. You know, it's a spoiler video. I'll put it in the title, don't worry. So yeah, we're here to talk
So we're
about...
actually doing spoilers from the very start, clearly.
Yeah. So we're talking about Joker, the 2019 film.
When you said that, I was thinking, oh, we have to start this over now.
No. So
Spoiler full review, fine.
yeah, let's just get into it.
Don't watch it.
Don't watch what? The film?
Like, don't watch. No, don't watch. Don't watch the film. They've seen it, haven't they now?
Well, just don't.
Because we're only showing this to people who've seen it. You have to write, don't watch the video if you haven't seen it.
It's fine. Right, so
De Niro.
Joker. Todd Phillips, written and directed. This was an interesting one. I saw it two weeks ago when it came out. Connie was in Norway for a while. So,
I didn't want to pay 20 quid to go watch it there.
Yeah, so we saw it yesterday. I don't know when this video is going up, but anyway, we just saw it like 2 weeks after it came out. And a second watch was quite needed for me, I think. There was quite a few things about it that I think improved when I knew where the film was going.
If that happens to me... If I go and watch it a second time...
Don't, because I want to say this, because I wasn't expecting it. We walked out, and you asked me to ask you what you thought of it, right?
Yeah, I said, aren't you going to ask me what I think?
Right, I was unsure. I really was unsure how you were going to take to this film, and...
Did you suspect, though, after the movie, did you suspect me to have that reaction to it?
No, not in the slightest.
Wow.
So what Connie said was, you said, well, verbatim, not verbatim, this isn't exactly what you said, but roundabout in a way, what you said was, you didn't know what to think, you were a little bit conflicted about what Joker does in the movie, but you think it might be one of the best films you've ever seen. That's what you said.
Yeah, but not in that order.
No, it isn't that order.
No, I said, I don't know. I can't say anything. I said, I don't know how to describe.
See, like, I tried to avoid this confusion by saying not verbatim. Okay, but I knew you'd get hung up on the exact wording and the exact order. And then you said
it was in that order. But I did mention later on that I was conflicted about how I felt about what the Joker did. The only reason for that is that part of me wanted him to do what he did. Because it's a movie. Not real. Okay, just like Keanu Reeves, what's it called?
John Wick.
I wanted him to kill all those bastards because they killed the dog.
Right, can I just cut in there?
Spoiler.
The going into this film was really interesting because of the director Todd Phillips, who just seems like a bit of a knob to me. Just some of the stuff he said, it's just like, oh, come on, like you just, I don't know, I don't like the vibe I get from him. I don't need to enjoy the film, but going into the film, I was a little bit concerned because he was coming off a bit abrasively and things like that. And where was I going with this? Because you just mentioned something, it triggered a memory in me that was tied into something, and I don't know what it was. Wick. What were you talking? John Wick. Todd Phillips said that this film, isn't as violent as people might be making it out to be if you look at a film like John Wick, and that is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
What Joker does brilliantly is it uses a few moments of, I don't want to say ultra violence, but it's pretty graphic violence. But they're in such small doses that you feel them a lot more than any of the kills in John Wick. When you're seeing Keanu Reeves just like shooting people's heads and slicing them in the throat and the head.
You actually see the slice, but in this case, when he's committing the kills, you don't actually see him beating the head. You look at you look at him in the flat when he's killing that guy. You
see the head going against the fucking wall. You hear
but you don't see. Yeah, you hear the thud. But in some other movies, you would actually see the skull breaking open.
Oh yeah, it doesn't. Again, it's not
you don't
extreme,
see that in this.
But it's pretty.
I thought it was just the right amount. It wasn't to the point where I felt queasy, which I usually do in these cases. It was just like yeah, it was I can't look away kind of violence. It was that kind of thing because I didn't want to miss out on his expressions. I couldn't look away from this movie. I was pretty much almost drooling at some of it because my mouth was hanging open. There were some scenes where I almost held my breath because it was so... I don't even... Well, some of the scenes were captivating, not the murder scenes. Don't worry, I'm not that kind of person. But some of the things that he did in between and the way he used his body language and everything like that, he was just... It was captivating. I was so into it.
Yeah.
And I was so happy that the cinema was as well. Because I expected them to go like...
Yeah, we had a good cinema experience.
Yes.
People were fairly into it. One thing I found the first time I saw it was a lot of laughing at moments that weren't funny. I think there's like kind of a sense of nervous laughter that some people need to express when they're uncomfortable. Yeah. There wasn't that much of it at the time when we went to see it, but there was a couple of moments here and there. One thing I really was intrigued by was the moment when he, again, spoilers, we're going all over the place in this video. It's not a structured review. We're just blathering on about it. But when he shoots De Niro and everyone freaks out and they leave and he runs up to the camera and he's like, don't forget. And then it cuts to the kind of, you know, the TV thing and it's got the Spanish fully, and it's kind of a jokey thing, but it's such an intense scene that I don't kind of find it a ha-ha funny. And I was waiting to see if people were going to laugh at it, and they didn't, which to me told me that people were so into the film that they didn't have that impulse to laugh at something that is, it's a bit of dark humor, but...
They use that in some movies, some of the best movies, in my opinion, when it's crime or like psychological movies and horrors and thrillers and stuff like that, when they use a funny or upbeat song in a twisted scene... Some people don't get it right. Some movie makers don't make it right. Or like, it just comes out wrong. But in this case, it fit. And it was great.
Mm.
It was... Or parts of me during the scene with the interview, I was thinking, well, where's the police? Haven't they called them yet? Why aren't they there yet? You know?
Yeah. So
it took so long.
So I read a review, actually, someone was saying they loved this film, they thought it was incredible, and then they hated the ending because it was so unbelievable to them. They thought that he would never get on that show, he would never have that much time, and they would just cut it off.
Yeah.
But the second time I did notice there's a very small but subtle moment when he says, I killed those two people. And you see, like, De Niro's perspective. Yeah, there's a guy out of focus, like...
Cut it.
And De Niro very subtly just kind of does, like, a little, no, let's keep this. Like, it's a little shake of the head, a look of the eye.
I didn't see the shake.
It's a little, like, no, let me keep rolling with this. And I totally bought that a guy who... You know, he's like this TV personality. He wants to roll with this because this is a really controversial. This is going to get big numbers. He was
thinking about the numbers. That
of course he was. Yeah. I mean, he was pushing him and stuff, and you know,
he was.
You know, so that to me worked. When the second time, it's a very subtle motion from De Niro where he just kind of like, no, let's keep this going. You know, so I like that. I like spotting that detail the second time around. The character of the Joker. I mean, there's been I think four. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, about 4 iconic, I think, performances of the Joker prior to this. We had Cesar Romero in the original 60s Batman show. He was perfect for the tone of that show. Then we had Jack Nicholson. He was perfect for the tone of Tim Burton's Batman. And we have Mark Hamill, who many call the best Joker, and he certainly has played the Joker more than anyone else. You know, he voices him in all the cartoons, the video games, the movies. Like, Mark Hamill's brilliant. And then you have Heath Ledger. And that's where it ends. Jared Leto, it just didn't work out, and no one can call that performance iconic. So, but Heath Ledger, I mean, I remember when that came out, that was his performance in that movie everyone was talking about it. Everyone was talking about it.
And it's not just because he died afterwards.
That added to the intrigue, but it really was on its own as a performance incredible, and it stands up, holds up today. And I remember at the time thinking, they should just leave the Joker for a good 10 years. And while they didn't do that, because Jared Leto was in 2016, I think, it's been about 10 years now, and we've kind of had a different take. And I think Joaquin Phoenix, I mean, Jack Nicholson was like an A-lister coming into that role. Heath Ledger was a bit different. That people were like, who, that Australian guy? You know, a little bit of a weird choice. This one was very much like, this is like one of the best actors working today, taking on this iconic role. And I mean, by all accounts, from the look of the trailers, it seemed like he was going to at least give a really good performance, regardless of how the film turned out. And it really is a complete character study or character portrait where the whole movie is him. It's all his perspective.
I wonder how he did it.
It's all inside his head. Like, even literally these like dream sequences that happen. And that leads to debate where people are saying how much of this movie was real, you know, especially with the final scene with him in the asylum. People have interpreted that as maybe the whole thing was in his head. Or, I mean, you can just extrapolate that and push it to any way you want, because the film was already established that he's creating these scenarios inside his head. I don't prefer to look at it that kind of theory-esque, you know, like, oh, maybe the whole movie was a dream. No, but it's very much a journey into the mind of someone who is kind of collapsing mentally.
I have so many feelings about this movie. Like, there are sometimes when we're talking about it and when I think about certain scenes, I actually get chills. And I don't get chills with a lot of movies, but there were quite a few times that movie gave me chills. Most of it was when we saw him from behind, and he reminded me of Heath Ledger's Joker. It's the way he walked. He had a walk which just made me like, that's Heath Ledger. But it's not Heath Ledger. But it was just the way that he moved. There is a scene where he kills 3 guys on the subway. After that, he goes to like a public bathroom, and then this music starts. And it's very like twisty, dreamy music. And then he does this dance. And the cinema was great because they were quiet, but I was so into it. It was the kind of silence I felt in Captivation, like in The Last Jedi, when the spaceships goes and you have the silence there, but it just lasted for like 2 minutes, and I was just like, I couldn't look away. That was one of the captivating moments, and that gave me chills and gives me chills thinking about it. Also, when he's waiting to get on the show and you see him from behind again, and he does that dance again, something like weird, and then I'm thinking, oh, he looks so much like Heath Ledger again. He's got the close look right and everything like that, and I just know something bad is gonna happen now. And it's just the entire thing, just from the first scene when it's just zooming in or just moving closer to him as he's sat there doing his makeup, and he's, you know, it's just the anger he's got in him. Like, you can tell this person is miserable, and then you see that the makeup has like a streak, and he's sat there, he's crying, but he's angry, and it's just so emotional, and it's what a great movie.
And then we cut to him being all jolly and dancy on the street, and then
yeah, but you know he's not happy. And I remember from the trailer what happens there. And so I knew that they were going to take the sign and kick him and so on. And I was just waiting for it. And I knew that it was going to be uncomfortable because it's just lying there like a kid being kicked in school. That's exactly what that looked like, which made him seem helpless, which is what they're portraying him to be, of course. And just his relationship with his mom, which turns into this massive what the hell. And I could go on and on about this movie, I think. I didn't expect to like it. I expected to have an opinion about it. But for me to love it, which is making me love it even more, and for me to want to watch it again. But all in all, it's not just about that. It's the Joker, and this is like this is Gotham, and you hear about Wayne, Gotham. You got ham? Sorry, you made me say it. It's not just about that universe in itself, but how real it seemed. And then it's just the acting was great, the way he delivered his lines, the laughter. The laughter was actually painful to listen to. Someone told me, oh, his laughter is so infectious. I'm like, what? What's wrong with you? You can tell he's in pain when he's laughing. It's actually hurting him when he's doing so. It's not funny. It's sad and it's disturbing and it's brilliantly done. And then not just that, but just the way it was shot. There was so many shots in the movie with the cinematography that was just so spot on.
That's something I knew you'd appreciate, because you're very much a good,
beautifully filmed.
You're very much a cinematography person, yes. So I knew you'd appreciate at least the way the film looks.
Not just that, the colors, like all the colors to put in the moods, the contrast, and the everything, the way. it was dark, but it was bright and everything like that. And the lines, the story, the editing, the music. I don't remember a lot of the music, but with the dancing, it just fits so well. And the sound was great. There was no part where I was like, oh, that doesn't fit, or that hurts my ears, or something like that. And we didn't even sit in the middle of the cinema. It was just, every single thing just clicked, which to me makes this movie a masterpiece. And I don't say that a lot about a lot of movies. I can love a lot of movies, and they can be some of my favorites. But this is my favorite, one of my favorites, and it's a masterpiece from beginning to end, with everything they've done, with the way it's been shot, and everything just comes together, and it's just like that. And it's not even a funny movie. It's just captivating.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think you definitely like it more than me, and you know, I've seen a lot of people call it like 10 out of 10 masterpiece, and whenever I see that, I kind of think, well, that's just someone who doesn't watch a lot of movies. But with you, I know that you're someone who very much is tough on films.
Because I pick it apart, and I have done that.
Yeah, it's very hard to...
That's why I want to see it again, because I want to pick it apart even more to see if I feel that I'm right.
It's very rare that you're that high on a film, I think. So that makes it, you know...
Into the Spider-Verse might have been the last time I was this... And Endgame, I was very... But not this much, because Endgame has so many flaws, and it's not really...
You think?
Not a... Well, it's not a masterpiece like this. You can still go into Endgame and see, oh, okay, so maybe that... You can pick it apart in a different way. Into the Spider-Verse, to me, there's nothing about that I didn't like. So that, to me, was a masterpiece.
Anyway,
so that was the last time.
The score reminded me quite a bit of the I forget the guy's name now who did the score for The Last of Us. There's this,
yes.
Yeah, this is the kind
I
of.
was thinking that's why I liked it.
Like this haunting
the
off
violin,
beats.
like
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah.
And not like the horror movies where they got the plunk 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 all the time. It's got that, but it's musical. It's not off key. It was very much like The Last of Us, and I think that's what made me like it so much.
Yeah.
I wish that it was out, because I want to see certain scenes again, like the dancing scene, because...
Do you know what I thought of the dancing scene?
You didn't like it.
Looks like a bit of weird art.
He could do a very good performance art session.
Yeah, I definitely can't take credit for this, but I did see a review. It was Mark Commode, actually. He said that the dancing scenes are like him communicating something that his character is feeling by this physical movement. You know, it's like he's expressing himself without speaking in very weird, you know. Yeah, it's I mean, he commits to it.
Which is dancing.
Well, I know, but I mean, like, you don't see a lot of that in films generally, I don't think. I mean, because they really, like, those dancing scenes, it's not like a 10-second shot of him, you know, twirling around like this.
Going.
Yeah, like, they really focus on it, and that becomes part of his character. I love the scene.
And then just ending with him doing that. And that's actually what made... I had chills on my cheeks. I don't have that much hair here, but it stood out.
I don't know if this was intentional, but like you said, he has his arms out at the end of that scene. And at the very end, when he's on the car, after everything, and he's inspired this riot and everything, he's got his arms out, but one is slightly higher than it's slightly off. I don't know if that was like intentional, or whether just the way his body decided to move, but it was a slightly off element of it. Like,
you know, when they do that with a camera and they make tilt it, and in some movies they just overuse it. They did that. There were certain scenes where I noticed it a lot, but it wasn't even that much, and that made me think, I wonder what they were saying to the camera guy. Like, the director was like, okay, make it tilted, and maybe the camera guy wouldn't have looked very much, but it was just tilted enough to make it seem like the stand was crooked, which made it even better. It's just
right
the little things, I gotta say, with this was just enough. It wasn't over the top.
Are you thinking of the scene when he takes everything out of the fridge?
Yes.
He gets in the fridge and the camera's like stationary, and then it starts to move forward, but it kind of no.
No,
right,
it was something else. It might have been in the asylum.
So there is a scene when he takes everything out of his fridge, he gets inside the fridge, he closes the door, the camera just lingers on it, and then it slowly starts to move forward, but it kind of like shakes a bit. And that was just the cameraman just deciding to do that. and it was kind of like an accident, really. The camera wobbled, but the director kept it, and I read that somewhere.
That might have been the only scene where I felt like maybe they should have cut a couple of seconds earlier.
See, nitpicky, yeah.
Yeah, but that's because when you mention that now, I remember that the door was closed for so long, and because we didn't see anything happen, I don't know. What happened then? Nothing happened. You just went into the fridge.
Yeah, cut to the next moment. I mean,
who hasn't wanted to go inside the fridge sometimes?
This is how
you want to know if you can fit in.
See, it's not rare. It's not often that I can't get a fucking word in. No, it's great. I love it. It's
But come on, think about it. Haven't you ever wondered, can I fit in the fridge if I take everything out? And who could I scare if they open the door?
Never wondered that ever.
I've seen too many YouTube videos.
I love the scene when he is about to go on the show and he's practicing his kind of interview, and he keeps messing it up, and just, I don't know, it's very natural and kind of, slightly awkward but believable, and again, he fully commits to it. Now, okay, so here's the thing, right? I mean, there's so much you could dig into with his character, and I've seen criticisms of the film say that it's style over substance. Most people say you can't deny that it looks great and that his performance is great. No one denies that, but people say that there's no substance to it. Like
What do you mean by substance?
Well, there's no weight to it, and
what?
Yeah, and to me, my response to that is like the substance is him. Like you're completely in his perspective. It's all about his descent and everything.
I must not understand, because if you're saying there's no weight to the movie, that doesn't make sense to me.
Right. But they say things like the girlfriend storyline, where it turns out he was just imagining it. They say that that's very weak and it's not developed. And I think that's exactly the point, because to him, it's not developed and it's weak. Like he's imagined this girlfriend scenario, but she's still just kind of on the outside. And, I think that perfectly fits in with the way actually, there's one thing I don't like about the film. It's a very minor point, but it's when he walks into her apartment and sits down. Mm-hmm. And at this point, you're supposed to think that they're together, or, at least, friendly. And she walks in and she's like, oh, and she goes, you're Arthur, right? From down the hall. That's all you need to know exactly what was going on there. But then they show you all the scenes where they were together, and then they remove her from the scene, a bit like Fight Club. I think that was
chills.
Okay, well, you liked it. Well, that's something. I thought maybe it's a bit too obvious, because I think that just her saying that...
No, because some people need to have it spoon-fed. And in this case, it needed to be done.
Did you guess it?
Yes. Yeah. The second she went, I knew that, okay.
No, before that.
No.
I did.
I was kind of like, maybe he's imagining things, because he was imagining the talk show thing.
Yeah, they set that up at the beginning, that he can have these delusions and that we're going to see maybe some of these delusions. To me, it was when he knocks on her door, when I think it's when he first kills the guys, and he's got that kind of empowerment to himself. And
he's got the makeup on and he kisses her.
Right, and he knocks on the door and she opens it almost instantly, and that immediately threw me off. Like it was like she was waiting for him. So I think that's kind of maybe a clue, because it's like knock, knock, the door opens straight away, And at first I thought, oh, they just tried to rush the scene, and it seemed unbelievable, but then you realise that it didn't actually happen.
I found it strange that she liked it that he followed her.
Yeah, and then when
like, why would she say that? She's got a kid.
But anyway, so I actually quite liked the whole girlfriend storyline. It wasn't a big part of the film, but I thought it just added to the way his mind works. I love the moment when he's in the stand-up comedy place, listening to another guy doing his act, and he's laughing at all the wrong moments. It just shows you how not in sync he is with other people. Like the guy says a joke, everyone's laughing, and Arthur's like, yeah, and then he'll just laugh at the wrong moments, and it's just so...
It's those little things.
It's so beautifully offbeat.
It makes you feel uncomfortable, because... And the same in the audience as well, where he's imagining that... what's his name? Who gets killed? Mole guy.
Robert De Niro. Mole guy.
He's got a mole. That's all you see.
The Irishman, starring Mole Guy.
The mole. When he's actually like addressing him and stuff like that. Oh, like the son that I could give away everything to have a son like you. And I'm just like, right.
Yeah.
And then he's just skipping to him, and then the realization of the mom, that's really good.
And the whole twisted idea that he could be Batman's half brother, which is left ambiguous, I think, by the fact that, Thomas Wayne was powerful enough to forge those records. It seems unlikely.
True.
It seems unlikely that a woman would adopt a child, the child gets abused, and then goes back to her after all that. So if you think about that, it just seems a bit odd. So I think that I lean more towards the fact that he is Thomas Wayne's kind of...
She wasn't the one abusing the child. She was just there.
No, but yeah, I don't know. But then there's no way to answer it, because at the end, near the end, he finds the photo on the back and it says like "Love you from T.W. Thomas Wayne."
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, but she could have written that for all we know. She's so
True.
delusional. So there's no like. I like how they kept it ambiguous and stuff. I didn't like when we saw the Waynes get murdered. I didn't mind how they tied that into the story, but just the fucking pearls. Like, can we be done with the pearl necklace? Seriously, every time we see Batman's parents get killed, it's the pearls like shattering and stuff, and it's just like, we've seen it, it's been done. Like, I just thought
people would be looking for it if it wasn't there.
I don't know. I mean, at least it wasn't like a slow motion shot of them falling onto the floor. It was a kind of brief thing, but I mean, there's so many things. So how do you feel about the character? And do you think we should empathize with him or pity him? Because that's kind of a main point of contention.
That's why I said that I was split on how I felt.
Because it gives you every single step of why he becomes the way he becomes. So you can either look at it as, and
on top of that, you can tell that he's not mentally well. So he is not in his right mind. And in some cases, that lets people get off, not get away with murder, but they put him in an asylum instead of jail. Doesn't make it okay. I'm not saying that the killings are justified, but with the 3 rich kids in the train station, there was John Wick in me at the moment, and I was thinking, yeah, fine. Kill the bastards. But it's a movie. I wouldn't want that to happen in real life because I care about human lives and whatnot.
Yeah, that's the thing that people seem to have trouble separating. And we won't get into it, but I mean, the controversy around this film, I think, is ridiculous, where people are saying this is going to make people violent, this is going to incite people to become psychopathic and everything. And I think it's so overblown. And the fact that nothing has happened whatsoever, and the news is still like, oh, controversial Joker movie. It just yeah. I love that nothing happened, and it just kind of proved everyone wrong. Well, fingers crossed. I mean, Jesus Christ, but...
Well, you never know, because some people get affected by movies. But I know how to separate the movie universe or whatever, the movie life I put myself into, the movie world, and real life. If someone like that existed in real life, I would feel bad for him for having to gone through all the bad stuff. But the second he commits a crime, I don't feel bad for him anymore. Mm-hmm. I understand why his mind is fucked up and why it led to it, but that doesn't make it okay. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't go, oh yeah, he got bullied when he grew up and stuff, so of course he killed him, it's okay then. But in the movie world, I encouraged it.
Yeah.
The movie version, let me just finish. For the movie itself, and when I'm in that world, I was thinking, yeah, kill him. Yeah, of course I empathize with him. Yes, I think it was fine. Yeah, shoot Robert De Niro in the face because he's a fucking prick. Just do it, because it's the movie world. I would do the same in a video game. But in the real world, it's wrong. So
that's an interesting comparison with the video game, yeah. Yeah,
in a video game you would. You have all these things that you do in a game, you just shoot them. And you don't even have to feel bad about it. It's a movie. It's not real. So of course I empathize with him. It would be different if he was going around raping and murdering kids. There's nothing that would make that okay. But these people kicked him while he was down. They were probably going to kill him anyway. Shoot the bastards. Okay? The guy from work, though, he didn't need to kill him, but he let the dwarf go. So, sorry, we're not allowed to say that. The little guy, which was fascinating. And Robert De Niro was a prick. And his mom, you didn't have to kill her. She was crazy, so I kind of felt bad for that one. Yeah, she was crazy anyway. She loved him.
I think that's kind of you could go into the realm of self-defense with the 3 guys on the subway in some degree, and then with his mother, I think that's the turning point when he has fully just gone down that dark path. Yeah. And
who knows what he did to the girl when he left the apartment. We never saw that.
I was thinking that. I never thought that the first time, but the second time I wondered. But I think...
probably killed them too.
I don't think he did. No, I don't. I think that's... Because... No. Because In the film, he kills people who have wronged him. The 3 guys in the subway, the guy from work who kind of ratted him out and lost him his job.
He didn't rat him out.
He did. He said Arthur was trying to buy a gun from me when he was the one who gave Arthur the gun. He forced it on him.
Oh, he was trying to do. Okay.
Yeah, he lost him his job. That's why he said to the small guy, or small, you don't know what politically correct term to use. He says, you've done nothing to me. I'm not going to hurt you. And then Murray on the show, he publicly humiliated him, and so it's people who have wronged him. So it would be different. So it would be different if it was him killing people for no reason, or innocent people. But I like to think that everyone is born as kind of a blank sheet of paper, and people who become bad for a reason. It's just kind of like this endless cycle. At some point in history, someone has done something bad and acted out of greed or jealousy, and that has kind of just passed on, and we end up in a world now where there are millions of people who are really bad people. And so with him, you see all the points to why he is the way he is, abused as a child. Yeah. All this stuff, the mental problems, and then the funding gets cut, he loses his medication, he spirals, he loses his job, and so you see everything. I think the point where I stop kind of sympathizing with him is when he does kill his mother, but then there's still a sense of I know it's weird. That's why I left the film initially the first time around being conflicted, because I enjoyed seeing his journey, but it wasn't a good journey. It's like his hero's journey. It's like to him, he's the hero of his own story.
He's the anti-hero.
Anti-hero, right? And this is where I think, like, people were talking about Venom, like, oh, that's a movie about the villain. He wasn't a villain. I mean, yeah, he killed people and stuff, and I don't know, that didn't ring completely true to me. This is a true, like, dark villain story where he's the hero of his own story kind of thing. And it just makes for a fascinating, descent into darkness and madness, and, seeing this character.
I mean, but they do this with, why am I lisping? They do this with all movies now. Like, even back with The Dark Knight, people were cheering for the Joker because he was such an amazing character.
Right.
And the acting was so brilliant and everything. And we do this even with wrestling. You're cheering for the heel now. You didn't used to do that much before, and now you're cheering for the what do you call the lower guy, the
underdog?
The underdog and stuff like that. It's always going to happen. Even in Star Wars, people are like Kylo Ren. They love him and this and that, and they're cheering for him, and they cheered for Darth Vader. Most kids love Darth Vader. Now that is a different thing, because you're kids and they're still too young to, know the difference between reality and movies and so on. But they're still cheering for the bad guy. It happens in all movies nowadays. Just because we have a movie surrounding this person who is a psychopath, a sociopath, and all the in-betweens and everything, is already mentally ill, and he's being treated bad for it. People are almost killing him slowly. If he wasn't going to kill himself, he might as well kill some other people in the process. Right, and it's a movie, so it's okay to empathize with him.
And I said I wasn't going to go into the controversy, but when people saying like, but this movie, it makes you sympathize with them and all this kind of stuff, and then it makes people want to do it in real life. I was like, no, because it's the movie, it's separate, right? And the point,
ridiculous.
I think why people are latching onto it is because of the tone of the film is ultra kind of realistic and gritty, at least compared to other comic book movies where it's depicted very starkly, and so it's a bit more, it's not as escapism as, say, The Dark Knight or Star Wars, but I think at the same time it's still a movie.
Yeah, but I mean, you have Rambo and you have John Wick and you have all of these movies where they're killing loads of bad guys. There's no difference, and they're more sane than him.
Yeah,
but they're killing all of these people for one dog. Or for one girl, killing like 40, 50 people.
Well, here's a good example. Rogue One, with the Darth Vader scene in the hallway when he lights up his lightsaber and he's cutting up all the rebels.
My favourite scene.
Right. Well, everyone's like, oh.
Loved it.
Everyone's like, oh, this is so fucking cool. And I found that scene like terrifying. I was like, that's like horrific.
This is what made it so cool, because it sparks an emotion in you.
I guess. But I think that with Joker, it's not a sense of like, oh, this is, I can't, this is wrong to enjoy this. And it's not, oh yes, he's fucking killing them. It's somewhere in between where I'm kind of...
I think that's why people get upset as well,
right,
because they feel the conflict in themselves, and they don't want to feel this for a person who's doing these kind of things.
It's not cut and dry. It isn't. It isn't a yes or no answer. You know, it's.
If they were having this in the news, of course you wouldn't empathize, because it would be real life.
But I think that there's a line between empathy and pity at the same time, and seeing the choices that he makes.
Actually, I have a little bit of both. I pity him.
Yeah. But I like that it's not a yes or no answer to kind of the morality of it. I don't think, and that's what I like. Like when I came over it the first time, I thought I just don't know how to feel, but I like that, you know, and it stuck in my head, and I kept thinking about it, and you know, his performance is great, and we've rambled about it a lot. You know, he goes in fairly deep with it and makes a really believable. I don't know. There's like a childlike element to him at times that is like really uncomfortable, and you know, like you said, like you can't take your eyes off it at times, and it's one of those.
That's the thing. Like it was just all the personalities, but it was one personality when he was acting like a child, and kind of like that. And when he was in that state of mind, it was more uncomfortable for me to watch, because that's when the pity came in and so on. Then when you saw like how determined he was, and he had this completely different, when he had this rage and everything, it was just like hold my breath kind of thing. And then when he's doing the dances, and when you see like that, almost like a spark in him, so many different emotions throughout the whole movie about that one character. And I didn't really care what happened to the rest. I cared about the girl a little bit, because I don't know what happened to her, but I kind of like that. It's kind of like the Inception part of the movie for me. Did he kill him or not?
No, I don't think he did, because they didn't wrong him. So I don't think, based on that, even though he is completely unhinged up to a point.
Yeah, and he let
the guy go. Yeah.
Do we say midget or dwarf?
I think dwarf is the correct term. But anyway, one thing I want to mention, because you were talking about the way that he walked.
Yes.
I think his run is brilliant. Like, that's good acting, because he has a very specific run at the beginning of the movie when he runs after the kids who steal his sign.
Well, he's got the big platform.
He's got the big clown shoes, but
he runs like that.
He runs like that for the rest of the movie, and it's just like a. And you know when you see someone run in a movie, and I know you can kind of tell they're running for the movie. Like there's when he steals the records from his mother and runs down the hallway. Like he is fucking running full tilt. Like it looks like he's about to crash into the wall. Like he's proper going for it. And I don't know, it just adds a bit more excitement to it when I just can tell that he's actually running 110%, and he has a very specific run, which is interesting. The Gary Glitter song was a weird choice, you know, when he's dancing on the steps. I mean, obviously at the beginning of the movie, he's like walking very downtrodden like this, and then he walks up the steps, and it's almost like this impossible climb. It's like dreary colors in the cinematography. And then when he becomes the Joker, he's full makeup, he's dancing down the steps. There's a bit of sunlight there. But, you know, again, just using a fucking Gary Glitter song was just really...
I don't remember what the song was.
Yeah, it was just... It almost seemed like it was intentionally, like, trolling.
What's the song called?
Rock and Roll Part 2, I think, something like that. It's just the...
I like the Charlie Chaplin scene.
I never thought about this, because there's two songs that are used throughout the film.
Smile. It's from the movie that he wrote, Smile.
Yeah, it's a Charlie Chaplin song, but I always forget that it's a Chaplin song, even though we fucking see modern...
never forget that.
Even though we see modern times in this movie, I forgot that it was Chaplin's song.
I took that like that. I was like, of course they're going to show Chaplin.
And so, I mean, that song has a completely different meaning to it than applied to this film, but that's kind of a fun way of, you know, retwisting it and interpreting it. And then there's also the... is it Sinatra? That's Life? That's Frank Sinatra, right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it is. But anyway, so that song is used quite a few times as well.
And he says it too.
Yeah.
That's what he says to the camera, isn't it?
And one thing I was going to say was that the laugh thing I thought was brilliant, because in most other Joker interpretations, you have him laughing maniacally when he's doing stuff. It's like, oh, he's the Joker. He loves laughing. But this, it's like, no, he's not having fun. This is like him going through trauma.
Yeah.
You know, so on one hand, it's like
it's compulsory. No, what do you call it?
Compulsive.
Yeah, compulsive.
So on one hand, you have like a scene when he meets his father, potentially Thomas Wayne, and he punches him in the face, and he's like leaning over this thing, there's blood pouring out, and he's kind of laughing, and it's kind of like a cool Joker laugh, but at the same time, it's like horrible, because you know that it's like, all this horrible feeling just exploding out of him in the only way that he knows how to, in this weird condition that he has, which is addressed at the beginning of the movie.
There was one funny scene. It was one scene that I found funny, or like, and that was when he dropped his gun in the children's hospital, and he picks it up and goes.
I chuckled at that. Yeah, that was kind of a
it's just like, it was. I don't know. It was so perfect. It was a little bit funny that the dwarf couldn't reach up to get out.
Yeah, that's one I didn't find any humor in it. I just thought it was very like involving and gripping.
I know, but it was not like a ha 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 funny. It was more like a
nervous laughter kind of. Yeah,
shit, that kind of thing. Yeah.
And there's different laughs. Like there's ones where he's trying to laugh at the right points to be a normal person, like when he's in the comedy club, but also when his friends at work are joking and he walks out the hallway and he's like and then he just stops.
Loved it.
So he just like, he's trying to be a normal person, but it's just like but we see, because we're following him through this, we see the point where he stops trying, like little things like that. And then obviously the compulsive laughing, and then I think there's a few times where he laughs in actual appropriate places, I think. So there's like a few different versions. I think that the finale, I mean, it has to be a tribute to Ledger's Joker, is when he's in the cop car looking out of the window. It's kind of like
it's the same scene.
It's a very vague kind of homage, I think. Yes. I know that Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger were
behind shots. To me, was Heath Ledger.
I suppose you can't. Heath Ledger did so much with the Joker; it's kind of hard to avoid it. But I know that Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger were good friends, and so I'm sure that he maybe had it in mind at some points. But then,
and when he got the blood from his
I was just about to say. I mean, that was
chills all the way down.
And the music raises, and then I don't know, because again, it's a conflicting moment, because it's a cool as fuck scene. But then it's also like, at what cost? Like, because you intercut that with the Waynes being murdered. And so you're literally seeing, I mean, they've toyed with it before, where Joker was the man who actually killed Bruce Wayne's parents, not the original origin in the comic books. And then here, it's the same, but it's through his actions and through the things that he is inadvertently inspired. I liked that as well. It wasn't a case of him like, come on, let's rally up against the rich people. He literally was just spiraling into madness, and then just by virtue,
and finally people liked him.
Right, yeah.
I was thinking that. I'm like, you finally found your place. I was thinking.
And it's a horrible place, and that's pretty fucked up, and that's what the film is, I think.
That's what made it so awesome too.
Yeah, I mean, what's
that thing though with this, just the right amount of blood too. They just did that so well.
Yeah, I mean, you think like, what more can be done with the iconography of the Joker? Well, they just fucking did another, they added to it, I mean, there's this, I mean, with Ledger, it was like the literal scarring.
When he had the scissors, I thought he was going to cut his mouth open. With
Leto, it was the, with the smile, the tattoo on his fucking hand. I mean, they tried, but it
Don't even start.
I know. So it's almost like, oh, well, I guess they've done all they can with the Joker, and then they come along with this. So,
have you read about how he managed to put himself into the role? Because Heath Ledger locked himself up for a while, didn't he?
I don't think he went that far. I know that he studied actual people who have that compulsive laugh. I know that much.
Okay.
But I haven't looked at many interviews, and obviously he lost a lot of weight for the film, so he has that kind of gaunt appearance and that
people
kind of...
have been interviewing about that.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'd be intrigued to see if they follow it up, because it's been an incredible success. It was a very cheap movie to make, and they're just making hundreds of millions of dollars off of it, and so you can imagine the studio wants to make a sequel. Joaquin Phoenix has said he doesn't do sequels, he's kind of against them, but he has also said in interviews he's kind of getting excited about the prospect of something else. I don't know whether they should though. I would prefer them to maybe leave it where it is, because it's just like, where do you go from there with his character as it stands in this world,
and how that leads on to the real Joker.
Yeah, no,
which is something that someone's been saying.
It's a theory. I think even the director has acknowledged it, where the Arthur is the guy who inspired who Batman's Joker becomes, which makes sense that because
he's a different kind of person.
Yeah, and I don't think that Arthur Fleck is like a foe for Batman, because he needs the motivation for that, and I don't feel like Arthur Fleck is motivated really by anything other than just following his impulses. And I don't know, but I like that. I like that it's separate. I like that
he's too old to be the Joker anyway, because Bruce was only like 10 in this movie.
I like that we had that. I liked that the little mini reference to the 60s Batman when Bruce is in that little kind of treehouse and he slides down the pole. You know, that was a fun little, you know, and then the scene with him and Joker at the gates was really
when he does the smile.
I know, it's like, and just
why is the kid letting this man stick his fingers in his mouth? Is he petrified?
Well, I don't know, because then
is he just so used to having to be like a statue from his family?
Yeah, like I like that because it puts a twist on the whole Bruce Wayne thing. It's like, you know,
his dad was clearly
a cunt. Yeah, so like I don't know. I just found that interesting.
And the mom was just a beat over.
It was different, and I liked that. And the scene on its own right, just a grown man with a kid like that, was kind of like creepy, unnerving, quasi-captivating. But the fact that this is Joker and Batman just made it even more like, I mean, these are two iconic characters, and you're putting them in a context we've never seen them before, I think. Maybe in a comic book, I don't know, but... So I really enjoyed that, and I wasn't expecting it. I didn't think they'd even reference Batman. I have a similar issue with the Dark Knight movies where it doesn't really feel like Gotham to me. It just feels like Chicago, and this just feels like New York. You know, yeah. It's not. I prefer Gotham being like Goth. I don't know, like Tim Burton just seemed to fucking nail that kind of look.
Yeah, but that's because it's Tim Burton. He's got his own style.
I suppose,
you
but
can't do Tim Burton style in this. It has to be a realistic city that's just called Gotham.
Yeah. And I didn't even think about this. I read about this afterwards, but the whole movie takes place during a garbage strike. And I noticed the second time round that the bin bags were just building up as the movie progressed. So
I was thinking
the production design is really well done. The details and everything, they just nailed a lot of it. So
I was thinking it's bad here with the garbage out on the street, but over there, Jesus Christ, New York's bad.
So we have 2 minutes left on the memory card, so I think we should
just cut
try
it
and
now.
Wrap it up. So I mean, I knew there was going to be a lot to say, and
I don't want this to get lost. I don't want to do it again.
It won't. Trust me. No, it's fine. We got closing thoughts. I'm glad that you loved it as much as you did. I'm intrigued to see it again. I think that I
want to go and see it again on Wednesday and Thursday. I think because I
Wednesday and Thursday.
Wednesday or Thursday. I think I need to see it again soon, while it's still fresh, because I want to make sure that my opinion is exactly my opinion.
And yet, I had no idea how you were reading this film. So I think when I see it again, I'm going to think about it differently, knowing how much you appreciate it. So it'll be interesting.
Which will make him hate it. I'm kidding.
No, but
I just posted on Facebook saying...
I love that you love it more than me. I just find that interesting. But
it's rare.
Yeah. But I still think that it's grown on me the more that, I've sat on it after a couple of weeks.
I hope I feel the same way when I watch it again. I just posted on Facebook saying, for everyone who's thinking about watching Joker, stop thinking about it and just go see it. Because in my opinion, it's a masterpiece. I'm not saying that it is a masterpiece. I'm saying in my opinion it is.
Of course, that's all we can go by. I think it's important
that you have your own opinion and don't get affected by other people's opinions.
Yeah.
Have your own mind about it.
Yeah. That's. I mean, there's a lot more I could go into, I'm sure, but we'll leave it there.
Yeah, I'm glad we did a spoiler one.
Yeah, they just had to kind of get into everything, and we didn't even get into everything. I don't think.
An hour.
But that's about 45 minutes. Anyway, it's running down now. I feel like I still want to keep going, but I guess we'll leave it.
It's hard to let it go.
Which is rare,
Yeah.
And so that's good. It's. I like how it's not cut and dry. I like how it leaves me feeling conflicted, but just the execution of it is pretty fucking flawless, I think. And there are a lot of moments I'm looking forward to revisiting, and I think maybe we should go see it again on Sunday when we're both off. So anyway, that's out of the realm of the video now. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you with the next one.
I so regret doing that. Instantly, I just regretted
Instant regret.
Yeah.
It's on there now.
It's like the second it was over, I'm like, why? It didn't even sound good. Why? It didn't even sound good.
Well, the funny thing is now. So that's a good laugh.
Yeah, but it's over now.
No, it's not, because the microphone's still recording. That's an even better laugh. I read that he really agonized over the laugh. Like he was really like self-conscious about how to do it, and would like test laughs with the director and stuff.
Yeah, I wanna see like how he did this, how he got into the role properly, and so on.
Anyway, I'm going to leave that in the video because I think that's too funny not to. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Oh, God.
Discover Audible with a free audiobook on us.
Get so loud.
Musician is an app that teaches you how to play musical instruments. Basically, a digital music teacher that teaches music.
Hey, what's up? This is the full painting process time lapse of this green street scene.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you, 'cause